Hey investors, welcome to The Market Talk. Thank you for joining us in our first episode. Now, as investing goes, the market goes down, goes up, goes down, goes up, but when it goes really high up, that is what we call a bubble. And in the history of bubbles, there's been one interesting bubble that has been caused by the tulip flower. Hi, I'm Ali, a proud graduate of VIA, and I love investing. I like looking at companies, researching on the market, and when we talk about markets, it's unavoidable, we also need to look at bubbles. So today, I will be looking at one such bubble called the Tulipomania, and we will be seeing how it applies to certain stocks in the market today. So, let's have a look at the history of the Tulipomania. It all starts in the mid-1500s when tulips were introduced to Europe by the Turks. The flower is originally from Turkey. But because it was rare in Europe, it especially catches wind in Holland. At first, all the flowers come from Turkey, but some of these flowers were then given to local botanists in Holland who started to grow these flowers locally. Now, the flowers themselves come in a multitude of colors. And because of these colors, they were given military titles to recognize their importance. The highest grade of the tulip flower is called Semper Augustus. Then we have the viceroys, the admirals and generals, so on and so forth. So what caused the mania? Well, the thing you must note is, if the rich have something, everybody else wants that thing. These flowers themselves were something of a prized possession, and many people wanted to get their hands on the flowers. So, naturally, the flowers started to be traded. You could buy these flowers. But how do we sell these flowers? That is what the botanists had to figure out. So what they did was, to ease the selling of these flowers, a system was derived to determine their price. The Semper Augustus, for example, the most expensive flowers, were weighed according to aces. One ace is 1/20th of a gram, while common types of flowers were sold by the flower bed. But what is most important is that the actual flower was not being sold. Instead, the weight of these flowers were written in slips of paper, and these slips of papers, which were originally meant to just record the flowers, were then being sold. So it is these pieces of paper that people start trading around, and all of this trading is where the speculation began. So how did this become a mania? The beginnings of this mania were what were called the Tulpenworde, or what the Victorians called the Tulipomania, where trading expanded from private negotiations to people going to informal inns and bars from village to village, trading their slips of paper. And because these slips of paper could be bought by anyone that basically had money, as long as you could go to the inn, you could buy these slips of paper, you could go to the next village and sell it at an even higher price. In fact, to help the selling of these slips of paper, auctions were even held. So more people started gathering at these inns to trade the price of these slips of paper. And eventually, because the price had to go up and up and up, there became a mania. At its peak, the Semper Augustus could fetch you 1,200 florins, which is the price of a small Amsterdam townhouse. A viceroy flower, which originally sold for 200 guilders, were now selling for 6,000 guilders, a whopping 30 times increase in price. So with all of this price increasing and increasing, a bubble started to form. So what caused this bubble to burst? Eventually, the flowers had to be delivered. However, because of the rampant trading and inflated quantities, no flower was ever delivered. Basically, the last person standing with the slip of paper was the loser.
Fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
The chaos was so deep in the country that the government had to step in. Government enforced the rule that contracts could be annulled with a 3.5% payment of the original price. But at the highest price where the bubbles were, if you were expecting to get flowers and you didn't get flowers, 3.5% was a steep discount of the original highs. Because of this, many people went bankrupt and lost everything that they owned. So, what can we learn from the Tulipomania? Number 1. First, make sure that you understand what you are buying. Be wary of the new shiny thing. People thought that they were trading flowers, but actually they were just trading slips of paper. And there was no real worth to the flowers themselves except for it being a rarity and a beautiful thing to own. The flowers themselves had no medicinal purpose. It wasn't even a thing that lasts forever. Amazingly, the people that escaped the bubble were the botanists that were growing the flowers because they knew what the real prices of these flowers were. Number 2, be mindful of the herd mentality. Never give in to the fear of missing out. And be wary when others are greedy. In the Tulipomania, everyone that had money thought that they could make more money by trading these slips of paper. But really, the only way you could earn money by buying these slips of paper was to look for somebody else to sell these slips of paper to at a higher price. And the last lesson that we can learn from the Tulipomania is to be careful about the ease of trading. Flowers couldn't be physically traded, so people created slips of paper. You could attend auctions and sales at your local inn to buy these slips of paper. And in fact, there were really no barriers of entry. As long as you had money, you could buy these slips of paper. Now let's apply these lessons to today's market. Is the market in a bubble in a hole? I really can't answer that. Too many factors. But we can see that certain companies seem to be in a massive bubble. One such company is Tesla. Tesla is clearly in a massive bubble of sorts. The price to earning ratio is over 100 times. The prices of the stock has been doubling, tripling, even quadrupling. Let's examine if the lessons around the Tulipomania can be used in understanding the Tesla market hype. So first, do you understand what you are buying? Let's look at Tesla. What is the intrinsic value of the Tesla stock? How do we calculate the intrinsic value if the company is making a loss? And if you think you are buying cars, did you know that Tesla made $1.58 billion of revenue from selling regulatory credits in 2020? So they're not even making money by selling their cars. How long can Tesla keep doing that? So, the first indication that Tesla is a bubble is by understanding what we are buying. The second lesson we can apply is be mindful of herd mentality. Hey, no explanations needed here. Tesla has been in the news, whether you are in the US or outside of the US, everyone has heard of Tesla. Tesla is famous on the internet, is famous in group chats, it's famous on Facebook. In fact, it is so famous that Elon Musk just needs to make a tweet and the price of Tesla stock can go up or down. So, is there a herd mentality going around Tesla's stock price? And the last lesson that we can learn is be careful about the ease of trading. Today, we are in a low inflation period. The trading of stocks is super easy with all of these new platforms. You just need to pick up your phone, press a few buttons and you can buy stock. In fact, the cost of trading is literally zero, with some of the brokers giving a zero rate for buying stocks. So, don't get caught up in the ease of trading. Be careful. It is really easy to be trading. So, in conclusion, the Tulipomania shows us that anything can be converted into a mania. In this case, it was tulips. But in the future, it can be tech stocks, it can be EV cars, it can be anything. The Tulipomania also shows us the problems of speculation that especially can occur when you don't understand the underlying asset. The most scary part about the Tulipomania, however, was the herd mentality, where everyone was dying to get their hands on that slip of paper, even though they didn't understand what it really was. However, there is a bright side to the Tulipomania. Just like there were some botanists who understood the intrinsic value of the asset, in our case, we should also be these experts that understand the intrinsic value of whatever it is that we are buying so that we can avoid being in a bubble. If you know of another stock that is currently in a bubble, please share that with us in our comment section below. Stay tuned for our next video where we will be looking at another bubble and what can we learn from this bubble. But before you go, like this video and subscribe to this channel. Thank you everyone.